Fisher. We missed you very much.
I also missed you guys so much, Mr. Chow Mein. And I had the best holiday ever. I tasted different foods and I went to different places. And I can't wait to tell Chef Loaves about it. But, where is she?
About Chef Loaves. Her time at Heaven's Kitchen has come to an end. She has left us.
Wait, Mr. Chow Mein? What? No, wait. Chef Loaves can't leave. How am I going to run a whole business alone?
You see, Fisher, Loaves won't be with us any longer. She was only here for a short time to teach you what she needed to. Relax. With Jesus, you can do what you set your mind to. Chef Loaves have left you a note, but I must leave now. Goodbye, Fisher.
Goodbye, Mr. Chow Mein.
Dearest Nina Fisher, this might come as a surprise, but I believe you are now ready to go on this journey without me. I know you might feel afraid. I know this might sound overwhelming, and you might begin to doubt yourself. Just remember all our times together in the kitchen and all the great lessons we have learned together. Remember that you are never alone. Remember that Jesus is with you. Remember that Jesus fully equips you to do great things. Never doubt yourself. Do not try to do things on your own, but always seek wisdom from God. He loves you dearly. He wants to see you succeed and win in everything that He calls you to do. I've left something for you in the envelope where you found this letter. I want you to watch it. Remember, God is all-powerful. He has been fighting and winning our battles for us from a very long time ago, and He isn't going to stop now. God is on our side. Hang in there, you got this. With love, Chef Quinn Loaves.
Oh, there's a phone.
God's story, David and Goliath. So part of God's story is about the time David fought Goliath. And it begins like this. David was the youngest of 8 brothers. His job was being a shepherd, which meant he spent all day in a field watching sheep eat and roll around the grass. Meanwhile, some of his brothers were off with the Israeli army preparing for war against the Philistines. The Philistines were one of the toughest armies the people of Israel had to fight. So one day, David was taking food to his brothers because his dad asked him to. But when he got there, his brothers accused him of coming so he could watch the fight instead of the sheep. Since David knew in his heart he was just obeying his dad, he didn't mind being misunderstood. Anyway, while David was there, he saw a huge Philistine man, more than 9 feet tall, step onto the field between the two armies. He was wearing a thick helmet and armor and carrying huge weapons. His name was Goliath, and he was definitely used to being the winner. David found out that Goliath had been stepping onto the field like this every morning for the past 40 days and saying, "Give me a man and let us fight each other." But nobody from Israel was brave enough to fight him, even the king. Well, David didn't like that this giant was intimidating the Israelites. After all, they were God's special family. And because God was with the Israelites, they could have courage in any situation. So David, who wasn't even a soldier, told the king, "I'll fight against him." Nah, the king thought David was too small, but he really wanted someone to fight Goliath. So he gave in. And David knew he wasn't strong enough to beat Goliath by himself, but he believed God would be with him. So he said, "The Lord will rescue me from the hand of this Philistine." The king hoped David was right. He even had his own weapons and armor put on David, but they didn't fit him. David decided to go into battle in his regular clothes. That's how sure he was that God would help him. Anyway, David went to a nearby stream and chose 5 smooth stones to use with his slingshot. Then he walked onto the battlefield to meet the massive Goliath. When Goliath saw how wimpy David looked, he was furious. He thought he'd get to fight the Israelites' strongest warrior. He said to David, "Am I a dog that you come at me with sticks? I'll give your flesh to the birds and wild animals." David might have looked like a wimp, but he was actually really brave. In fact, he was so brave that when he was taking care of sheep, he fought off bears and lions. Because God helped him protect his sheep, David knew God would help him protect this special family. David said, "You come at me with a sword, but I come at you with the name of the Lord Almighty." He was explaining to Goliath that God was more powerful than anything. He also added that he would feed Goliath's flesh to the birds, which made the giant even more mad. Then David took a stone, put it in the slingshot, and slung it at Goliath. Goliath didn't even get a chance to swing a sword because the stone hit him right in the forehead and sunk in deep. He face-planted straight into the ground. Nobody could believe it. Then David ran over, took hold of the giant's sword, and drew it from the sheath. He took the sword and cut off Goliath's head. David carried the head all the way back to Jerusalem. And when the Philistine army realized Goliath was dead, they started running away like a bunch of scaredy cats. The Israelites chased the Philistines, shouting loudly. They had won. God used David, who was just an average kid, to rescue his people. And that's the story of David and Goliath. So, in case you missed it, here's the quick version. David was a shepherd. He brought his brothers lunch. He saw Goliath. Goliath scared everybody. David wasn't scared. He knew God was stronger. David fought Goliath. He used one stone. God helped him kill Goliath. The Israelites won. God's people were saved. And that's a part of God's story.
You know what? Loaf was right. I will be able to do this. You know, kids, this story of David and Goliath just taught me that with God by my side, I can actually do anything. I mean, look at David, a small boy. He trusted God, and God gave him the power and the authority to be able to actually conquer a giant. And that shows us that no matter what situation, what challenge you're going through, if you have God by your side, you can actually go through it and overcome it. And an interesting fact is, the same God who helped David is the same God that can even help me. So always remember, whenever you go through any challenge, like me right now, I feel like with God by my side, I'll be able to do this cooking and I'll be able to conquer it. I love you guys so much, and Jesus loves you. Bye.